So diversity, equity and inclusion, there is zero appetite for those type of startups and even those corporate programs, Europe and the US. That's been astonishing to witness, the sort of overnight reversal of companies saying on their website, global companies saying this is a core value, diversity and inclusion, and overnight suddenly it's not so much of a core value, it's removed. The difference there, I think, is unlike some of these diversity startups or diversity policies where the ROI is harder to prove. In climate tech, this is not a cost center anymore. We're not talking about the year 2000 here where these companies were loss making. These are seriously impressive companies that are powering things like AI and are fundamentally cheaper than the hydrocarbon alternatives. And even in the US, people who want to make money, which includes the entire Republican Party, are going to get behind those trends. And so I think that is a fundamental difference to the clean tech 1.0 boom and bust.
I've also got one other question around the defence and defence tech space. I mean, there is huge anticipation in the UK about what money is going to flow from Britain's additional defence spending capabilities. And there are high hopes in the SMEs that money from the MOD will flow. But there's been disappointment for years, if not decades, in this space. The MOD underspends and then perhaps will make a huge order from one of the primes and the SMEs are kind of left to wither. Do you really think that things are going to be different this time around?
No, I don't. I think the MOD has proven time and time again it is not capable of effectively working with startup technology. And I think what we'll see is the best UK defence technology companies will have to go to the US and partner up with the US, which is counter to everything that we're seeing in the geopolitical trends in terms of European resilience. But I think that's just the reality because the US government is so far ahead on their ability to team up with startups. So we have to fix that, but my hopes are not high for the MOD's ability to do that. They just don't have the people in place to do it.
It's a damning statement, isn't it, about the ability for the MOD to adjust to this moment. On the climate story, is there a scenario where, with the US ripping up the Inflation Reduction Act and going full bore on oil and gas, that Europe can position itself to lead and win on climate technologies?
I think it's a massive opportunity for Europe to lead and win. And one of the really exciting things we're seeing is large corporate industrial players in Europe are waking up and saying, okay, we can now partner with climate technology startups and lead this decarbonisation in a very profitable way. And so at Giant, many of our investors, our LPs, are the big European industrials who see this opportunity. And so I think Europe has to sort of make use of the timing with the Trump administration's reversal on climate change and make use of our strengths here, which basically is the big industrial giants, people like BMW, who now have an opportunity to really step up and lead and stop the sort of fatal reversal that they're facing with people like Tesla stealing their lunch.
Are decisions being stalled by the Trump administration? I mean, we're all hesitating until tomorrow and we get the sort of tariff news. Is the startup and VC space also pausing? Because, you're full of energy and ideas, and yet it does feel like there's so much uncertainty now that a lot of the big businesses that we report on are pausing major decisions.
I can only really speak for my world, which is venture. And at Giant, we have invested more into climate technology in the first quarter of this year than we have ever invested before. Some of the rounds we've just led, sort of Series B rounds in Silicon Valley, have been more competitive than any venture round I've experienced in my career to date. So for the best assets, the best climate technology companies, which show a clear return on investment because they're making money today, there has never been more appetite than I've ever seen in my career.
Tommy, briefly on talent, because you talked about your theory, or at least your forecast, that actually a lot of the defence tech companies are going to have to go to the US either to raise or to list in some form or to get those contracts from the Pentagon. What are you seeing on talent? Has the Trump administration adjusted the flow of talent? I mean, up until the end of last year, multiple founders that I would speak to would talk about the allure of the US, whether it's to raise funding, whether it's to list, whether it's to find talent, whether it's to build headquarters, whether it's to lean into the US market. Is any of that allure, is any of that shine coming off?
I think we are seeing a talent flow out of the US for sure. So, and that ranges from global superstars like Reid Hoffman, who we had with us at Giant the other day, who's spending more and more time here in Europe, all the way down to young technical talent moving from the US to places like Canada or to Europe. And so, yeah, there is a bit of a Trump brain drain going on from those who frankly don't want to live in an administration which has those values. So that's another really exciting opportunity for Europe to stand up and gain in the innovation economy.